Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Angela's Caches, the word of their testimony. I'm still traveling. I'm out on the road for a month. And I'm currently in Ireland with my children and my grandchildren and all sorts of other exciting things going on. I'm going to try and be concise, relatively speaking, this week because we've got two guests and a partner, co-host, co-worker, and then open mic. So I don't want to ramble. I just want to get down to work. So the first guest I'm going to introduce is somebody I haven't met and haven't had a chance to familiarize with. A mutual friend contacted me and said, you know, this girl, I've been friends with her for quite a while. She's got an amazing testimony and please give her a hand. And the Australian survivors have been awesome, at least for a year and a half. They helped a lot with research and input on the Hampstead case. And then we started to see so many similarities, of course, and see that it was global and it wasn't confined to one country. And then when whistleblowers were starting to get intimidation and so on, we kind of made an unofficial agreement, like, right, you promote our findings, we'll promote yours, and that way we can stay safe. So with that said, I'm delighted to introduce my first Australian guest. And in fact, my first introduction to CCM was being interviewed by an Australian broadcaster on the channel, Eilish de Avalon. And, you know, I had no idea what that was going to generate. So with no further ado, I want to introduce a survivor called Kerrie Hawkins. And Kerrie, I'm just going to give you the floor and let you tell your story.
Hi.
Hi, and welcome.
New for me. Well, I am a survivor of child abuse, but also I'm a survivor, or part survivor, still victim of rape. 20 years ago, on the 25th of September 1996, my home was broken into by a New South Wales police officer. He was from the police internal affairs. He was meant to be investigating my local police for perverting the course of justice. But instead, he broke into my home and he repeatedly raped me. He led me to believe that he had AIDS. I recall him laughing during the act. I passed out. The only words I can remember saying was don't. But the police apparently said that I didn't say the word no. So apparently don't doesn't matter. But moving on from that, I woke up again and I was being raped again. I had nowhere to go. I couldn't go to my own local police because they were the ones that were meant to be investigated. So it was a year later that I first reported it to, and that was to the Commissioner of Police, and I spoke to a female officer. Her attitude was, just a minute. I was on the phone to her for 20 minutes. She passed me on to a detective. Then he said he would bring me back. I made it clear that I did not want to speak to any police from the police internal affairs. And what happened was they rang me up. The officer, which I'm not sure if I can say names or not, so I'll be careful there.
You're welcome from our point of view. Look after yourself. But as far as this network is concerned, just you can say what you like. It's your choice is what I'm saying. Stay safe.
Well, the officer, he was it was Sergeant Alan Dickinson. He rang me and he was abusive to me over the phone, but I did blurt it out that Senior Constable Hill, I'll leave it at that, had raped me. And then his words were, and I took it as a threat, he said, you take care of yourself. It was like a warning. So nothing happened then, but then I reported it again, and then to another police officer here in Goulburn, and he said, well, what do you expect me to do about it? 20 days later, after the third time I reported it, I was being stalked by the officer who raped me. He had been at my home, and he even described the new clothesline that was in my backyard, and he was taunting me. There wasn't a thing that I could do about it. Because I ride a motorbike, the GSX 750 Suzuki, I'm not a toughie, I'm not a, a violent person. I come back home and I was like physically upset, and but anyway, I like trying to report it and no one listening, so I went and sent a solicitor. They wrote to the where the officer worked and said that, if you didn't leave me alone, they were going to get an AVO, which I found AVOs do not work. They only work if the police act on them. But then another officer from the Police Internal Affairs contacted me, and yes, he inquired about the evidence, and I was foolish enough to hand him over the evidence. No, I never seen again. I couldn't believe it. Oh, I don't have it, he said. And I couldn't believe it. It, like, during all this time, from the rapes on the 25th of September 1996, I had to have countless blood tests for HIV and AIDS. And I believed that I had AIDS because negative. I thought that was the bad result.
Oh,
like
no.
HIV negative. So all that time I believed that I had it. So I was so mixed up. The house that I was raped in, I physically pulled it down. It was heritage listed because there's something within inside of us that where you've been completely violated, that you can't live in it. You just can't. And a new house stands where the old house was. But all this time, my own local police here in Goulburn, since 1991, through 1997 to 2004, I got nothing but victimised, harassed, intimidated. I had bullets put in my letterbox, which I still have. The letter that said people who make complaints about police don't live very long. There was that. The name callings, I was called a slut by my own local police. It was just an absolute mess. I gave the police one more chance because I never went to trial because of the rapes. I decided to report my child abuse, and it was the same thing. My child abuse report went up to the Police Internal Affairs, the same place where the rapist worked, but it wasn't him that was there anymore. I believe he was dismissed under the section 181D, which means lack of commissioner's competence. So there was no charges laid against him. It was put to me that I didn't have enough evidence. That's because they claimed that they lost it. The other thing was that I did not say the word no, and it was his word against mine. And him being a police officer, and myself, I'm just a member of the public, so I don't count. So moving on from that, my child abuse report, the police had that for 2 years. Every time I rang the police, what is going on with my child abuse report? It's been 2 years since I first reported it. Every time I rang, I had to give my name and go into details about my abuse. How big was your father's penis? Did he get to put that in your mouth? Questions like that I got. I'm talking about police officers asking me this, a victim. I'm a grown-up survivor of child abuse, and I could hear this snickering and giggling in the background. But, like, I know as a child, when you're going through abuse, you don't want to believe it's happening. So you make excuses for them. You do that. It's a way of trying to survive. It's a way of coping. So you think, oh, well, they're having a bad day, or I must have done something wrong. And I thought everybody's family was the same as mine. I was abused not only by the father and 2 other men as a child, but I was also abused by the mother and female sibling. When I tried to speak out to the public about what happened, it was like, how dare I do this to the family? Now I say the family, the mother, the father, the sister. I don't say the other word because it means that they belong, and they are an object of violence that they inflicted upon my person from them. So I just can't say anything else. I'll say my pets, I can say that. But as far as the family goes, no, excuse me. But growing up, I was told, when you get married and you have kids of your own, you'll forget about it. You do not. You don't forget. You remember every single little thing. You hear a song, a smell, or even a phrase someone will say, and you're straight back. You're straight back to where it happened. And, like, I don't know how to this day that I did not get into drugs. I was never into drugs. I will admit, yes, I drank. I did drink, and especially after I was raped, I drank heavily. But in 2000, in January 20th, that was it. I stopped.
Wow.
It was like I wasn't getting anywhere. The authorities here that are supposed to look over the police, as in like to keep an eye on them, they do nothing. We have the Police Integrities Commission. I have their letter on my Facebook page, very dismissive. When I reported the rapes to the New South Wales Ombudsman, I got a letter from the Ombudsman that stated that Senior Constable Hill had been asked not to contact me in the future. That was it. And he did. He stalked me. He did come back to Goulburn. He was from Sydney. Still nothing. To this day, I have never received an apology from the police. One officer did say in writing how brave it was of me, well, I don't call it brave. It's like I went to them for help originally in the first place. And what I got was laughed at. I was humiliated. I would not go to the Golden Police ever again to report rape or any crime such as that because of their attitude. Now, there was a 10-year-old child under the age of 10, I believe, who was raped in Goulburn, and that's all been hushed. It's been to court, but these, it's got to go to court again and again and again, but the officer is being protected. And this happens all the time. This happens all the time in Australia. I am not the only victim who was raped by a police officer in 1996. I had a very dear friend who was repeatedly raped by a police officer. On the 29th of March of this year, she died. I believe it was suicide, even though she got 6 years. The police officer who raped her, he got 6 years in jail, but it became too much for her, and she died in a car, and I was devastated. And she would write to me and say, "Oh, Kerrie, you're so brave for speaking out and doing this and doing that." I said, "But you got your rapist in jail. You've got your rapist, a police officer, the high and mighty, in jail." She said, "But only 6 years." I said, "But 6 years." I said, "That's better than nothing." But like many of us, how do we cope? Well, I haven't coped real well, especially after losing her. If there's anything worse than rape, it's betrayal.
Yes.
It's betrayal.
Yeah.
It's betrayal by the politicians here. It's betrayal by the New South Wales Ombudsman, the Police Integrities Commission, even a local media, a Current Affairs, when I contacted them to tell my story. We don't believe anything we see on Facebook, and they were completely rude to me. They just slammed the phone in my ear, and I'm not the only one that they've done that to who's been a victim of police. So they're out. It's like we are the forgotten ones. We are the forgotten victims. Okay, I went through child abuse. I survived. I'm here. Okay, but the abuse is still there. I was raped by a police officer. He knew that I was abused because I told him. But he used that as a sign of weakness because he did play part of the role of the parent. He acted authoritative and he was loud. So I went into my little ball just to survive. During the rapes, I was paralysed with fear. I didn't know whether he was going to kill me. I didn't know whether he was going to choke me, because a couple of times I did pass out because he held me down so tight. But the thought of having to go to the Golden Police and to tell them what happened to me, it was just out of the question. And it was only just a year later that I had the courage to say out loud, this is what happened to me. I'm just trying to think of the commissioner at the time's name. Peter's something. He was an English officer, but it wasn't him that I spoke to. It was his people underneath him. Peter Ryan, that's who the commissioner was, Peter Ryan. So I'm here today, nothing's changed. I don't go out at all. I don't drink, I don't take alcohol. Drugs. I cope from day to day, looking after my pets. I was trying to do a duck pond, but that all fell apart. And I'm speaking not only on behalf of myself, but many other victims who are no longer with us, but others that are frightened to come forward. I've come forward because I don't see a future, because I have none. I'm unable to trust. I cannot trust anyone in authority. Going by where I come from, how I was brought up, and thinking of authority as far as police go, like, I'm scared of them. I will not disrespect them where you see people abusing police officers. I'm not like that, so I would not do that. But I would like respect too, in kind, from the police. But if they choose to have that attitude as far as child abuse reports, rape, I'm surprised that anyone in Australia will take the initiative to report child abuse and report rape. I had no support, definitely no respect. That giggling, that snickering on the phone, it's like, it's beyond anything. Like, what more do I have to go through? What more? I can't believe the people in authority, they put their hands on their hearts, we're here to serve and protect. Serve and protect who? Themselves? Like, what are we? We have deaths in custody. The Aboriginal, the Aboriginal community are suffering. And if you're a victim of a police officer, like, you're the perpetrator. I'm a perpetrator because I got raped. I'm a perpetrator because I got raped by a police officer. So how dare I upset the police by reporting what they did to me? And they say to themselves, you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. Well, they hurt me, but they've hurt all the public. They've hurt everyone that's going to be a victim, because if I tell my story, it's going to frighten them because they won't report it. Maybe in one way it'll save them from the indignity of what I went through. But on the other hand, it's like they can't be heard because they're frightened. Yeah, they are so frightened. And all I'm trying to do is to get heard, to be heard by people like yourself. And here I am, I'm talking to you. You're in England.
Ireland. I'm actually in Ireland at the moment.
I beg your pardon. You're in Ireland. I'm in Australia. Who's listened to me here in Australia? No one. No one. It's like, it's it's like the too hard basket. Oh, anything to do with the police, the media don't want to know. The media doesn't want to know. And especially Australian current affair, I cannot believe how totally biased they are against rape victims of police. They are pro-police, it doesn't matter what. And they did a story just last week on how the police are not respected. So they had a reporter pick up just, it was so set up, I nearly fell off the chair laughing. A fella holding a bottle of beer, half drunk, and some other fella, and, oh, what do you think about the police? We don't trust the police. It's like that. It was an absolute setup, you know, and yet they refuse to talk to, you know, true victims. You know,
I'm absolutely blown away by your, like, I'm shocked on the one hand that you're housebound as a result. By the way, I'm a survivor too, and it took me 50 years to report my family and others. So for you to have reported within a year, at least the adult rape, and then to have tried again a second, a third, a fourth time is phenomenal. The child abuse, I keep trying to explain to people that don't understand this, you believe as a child that those people are like God, that, you know, that you're totally and utterly dependent on them. And you believe threats like, you know, your pets will die, your sisters will die, you will die, you'll go to an orphanage, daddy will go to jail and all that. So it frustrates me ongoingly when people say, oh, how can you report child abuse 20 years later or 30 years later? It's just ignorance on people's part. I just want to ask you, I'm humbled by the way you've just, like what I was going to say was, on the one hand, you're housebound with the trauma, with post-traumatic stress, with whatever, and yet you came on this show with a few hours notice and just spoke the truth. I think that's phenomenal. And I want to ask you, have you linked up with any of the Royal Commissions? I think there's been 2 in Australia. And have you linked up with any support groups?
when I was raped, I was in a support group for child abuse victims, but I stopped going because of the rapes. And the first time I spoke about the rapes was when the counsellor rang me, and she said, Kerrie, we haven't seen the group. And when I actually said the words, I was raped, I lost it. I did nothing but cry, and not for days. This went for weeks. And it was all the time. But I did have counselling to try and like as far as the rapes go, but because of the harassment I was getting from the Golden Police, when I was going to counselling, I would be followed, and they would park in my driveway, preventing me from getting into my driveway.
Oh, God.
Like that. So all the counselling that I tried to have was completely unravelled.
By being re-traumatised.
By the police again. And on my Facebook page, there's a letter to Commander Wayne Benson I wrote. And I said, for what it's worth. No, I stated that, like, it's human nature to pick on someone who is different. It's like if you have a box of chickens and only one chicken has a spot on its head. The others won't stop until they pick it to death. And that's how I feel. That's how the police made me feel.
Wow.
And but then I also wrote in the letter that how would those police officers feel if it was their wives that were raped? It was their wives that couldn't go to their own police to report it. How would they feel? What kind of police can do this? What kind of police goes around harassing women who are by themselves and not only traumatised but timid and yell out slut or some other names, profanities, and or twirl their fingers round the side of their head as they drive past? Like, what kind of police are they? So, and I did say, I said, you, the police, have your Remembrance Day. I've got mine every day, and every day for the rest of my life. I remember what happened. I will never ever forget. I'll never forget the smells. I'll never forget what he said, how he laughed, when he was raping me, and the pain I was going through. I was that traumatised I did not go to hospital because I did not want the Golden Base Hospital to ring up the Goulburn Police and to tell them that we have a rape victim here, because that's how much I did not want the Goulburn Police to know that they're the ones who got me raped in the first place. All they had to do was do their job and do it honestly and correctly. But they chose to cover up fellow officers who completely stuffed up in an investigation in the first place and forbid me to show medical evidence. That's how I ran the police internal affairs in the first place. So for me to even allow the Goulburn Police to know, I wouldn't have been able to, to cope. But they would know now, going by the letter I sent. And when I said, you have your Remembrance Day, I have mine every day for the rest of my life. I said, if you have any decency or compassion whatsoever, I suggest that you tell those police officers and their friends to leave me alone. Like I know they'll never help me. I know it's embedded, and whatever I see that may or may not occur, the police are not the ones to go to. The police have I was on a couple of TV shows. We the police see a lot of trauma and this, that, and affects us. Well, what about the trauma that you inflicted on me? But you tell me, but that happened a long time ago. It's that. And yet, I've never heard the ambulance or the fire brigade, doctors, nurses complain about their job. They do their job and they do it brilliantly. But yet, when the police, sometimes we've got to get a shovel and scrape you off the road and, we see death and murder. Well, so do the paramedics. So do the doctors, the coroners. It's not just all police.
I think it's important, and I'm horrified at the treatment you've received, but sadly it's not the first story I've heard like that. In my research, a young boy of about 12 ran away from a children's home and ran to the police station to tell them that he was being raped by the staff. and the policeman told him to bend over and let him inspect, and raped him again. And the betrayal, the insanity of going, like, we were raised to trust a policeman, and I've tried to raise my children that way. And there are good cops. I know some personally, and I think I would have suffered similar to you if I didn't know some very good cops. But I think there's two things. There's one is that you're damaged good because you're already a survivor. Yes. And the second is this thing of, you know, if you attack a policeman or expose a policeman or prosecute a policeman, you've got all of us to deal with. And I don't know about Australia, but in England, there's like this Freemasonry thing that overrides the law. So if a policeman has done anything other than murder, the Freemasonic oath means you've got to have the policeman's back, not the victim's back, you know.
It's the same here.
It's very, very sad, very, very sad. And I'm very sorry. So I presume you didn't link up with, I don't have a lot of faith in the Royal Commissions, but I presume you didn't put your testimony to them.
I did contact them, but they stated that they only deal with the churches.
Institutional. Yeah. Look at Kerrie. I feel humbled. I hear you, because like, you didn't know me, I didn't know you, but I haven't been through your journey, but I've been through a similar journey, as have many of my viewers. And I really respect you for what you've just done, and what you've done for the past, since I don't know how many years you've been trying to get your voice heard.
20.
And wow. And I just really stay in touch, and I really encourage you, you know, to just keep doing what you're doing. It's heartbreaking to be housebound. I get agoraphobic sometimes if I get PTSD, and I can get mute. I cannot speak for 6 weeks at a time if I'm really traumatized. But we're still alive, and we've got the internet for now.
Yes.
And we've got networks like this. And so I plan on staying in touch with you. And I really, really thank you for what you just shared.
I'd like to say one thing, if I may.
Sure.
Like, if the police weren't allowed to investigate themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be the key to solve a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
But instead, the police investigate police. They have a thing in Australia, they call it the police conciliation form. And what they do, they make you sign it. Then they send that off to the ombudsman with their own version of it. But you don't see that for 3 months later. They come back with the B form. They force you to sign that. 3 months later, you get a letter from the ombudsman's office saying it's all been conciliated, but nothing's changed. You're victimised even more.
Yeah.
You're victimised even more. That's when I got those bullets and that note in my letterbox. People who make complaints don't live very long.
Oh, it's just appalling. It's just appalling.
All countries could put an end to the police investigating themselves, have a total independent body who are not police, who do not associate with police, to do all investigations, and have a support network to the good officers so they're not afraid to speak up and for other police to know who they are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have to go to break. We're going to a 4-minute break. I'm going to stay in touch with you, and I just am absolutely full of admiration. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
God bless. We'll go to our first. You're welcome to stay around for the rest of the show or not. If you just take your video and mute, you know, like take your video off and mute, but you're welcome to stay around, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back, people, to the second part of this. Angela's Cash is the word of their testimony. I'm quite shaken by that disclosure, that the breathtaking courage, the anomaly of being housebound and a life that, you know, it includes pets and that's about it. And yet such an amazing clarity of speech and courage. So just phenomenal. My next guest is somebody we tried to get on last week, and we had this Zoom is new to a lot of us. So it didn't work last week. But Brian, I've listened to being interviewed by Ben Emlyn Jones, amongst others, and was blown away. This guy has been campaigning for a long, long time, and has some phenomenal insight, knowledge, and experience. And I'm just going to give it over to you, Brian, and let you talk.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, the main reason I've come on is obviously the Keith Vaz situation, you know, and I'm not having a particular go at anybody in particular, because I was sort of dragged into it as well. It's all I mean, I know people's not going to be happy about this, right? But what's happening now is we're coming so close to getting justice, and it is coming, people. Yeah, might not be this year, it might not be next year, but it's coming. Yeah, and we're coming to a force that it's causing conflict between rival groups and stuff like that. I know I hold my hand up. I've been one of them, you know. But now's the time for everybody to come together, no matter what your personal views are or anything like that. And we are winning, you know. I mean, in my time, when I first started campaigning, this what I'm looking at now in the front of the Daily Mirror, you wouldn't have had that. When you think about it, that's with supporters' help, that's with survivors' help, that's with campaigners' help. You know what I mean? And we need to all come together again, you know. And I know people will probably say, well, Brian, why aren't you out there? You know, because I'm not as young as I used to be, few health problems and that. So I can do my best from home, you know. You know what I mean? And like I say, anyway, back to the Keith Vaz stuff, yeah. The thing is with Vaz, I've just noticed that it's the Islington link again now. Islington was something I looked at a long time ago, you know. And with, as you're probably aware, Angela, with City 2 carry on, you know. And
yep.
And I'm on, I mean, I can't say it for certain. And anything I say is down to me, not the radio show, yeah. So there's nothing there. But the thing is, Vaz was a solicitor at the same time, representing child abuse victims whilst working for the local council.
Yeah.
You know, I must say that to people.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's any questions you need to ask me, please go ahead. I'll prefer it that way.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know that Vaz did legal work not just for Islington, but for the other hotbed, Richmond, where Elm Guest House was.
Yeah, and I noticed in the paper today, and I'm not saying everything in the paper is true, but I've noticed in the paper today another nickname for a boy brothel was the Hot House. Something called the Hot House, so I'm looking into that as well.
Yeah.
We found, but it's the first time I've come across it, you know.
And the other thing he did very early on in the child abuse inquiry in the UK was he released names and addresses of victims that had disclosed to the inquiry, which led to death threats and absolute trauma for them, because, you know, who does that? And then he said it was an accident. Oops, you know, sorry, didn't mean to do that. And then, I mean, there's a whole history with that inquiry, but tell us what you know about Keith. I know you've been victimized by another very high profile person, which we're not going to address in this show.
No comment.
Yeah, I get that. Comment. I totally get that. But tell us what you know about Keith Vaz. Have you met any first-hand survivors?
Yeah, I've met loads of survivors over the years. I've met Corbin. I'm not saying Corbin's a survivor. I'm saying I met Jeremy a long time ago, you know. I met him a couple of weeks ago, you know, and there's a lot of stigma concerning them at the minute, which I can understand at the same time, you know. But I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in him. Do I think he would? Do I think he'd speak out? Yes, I do. I do think he'd speak out.
He didn't speak out back then when the Margaret Hodge, Tony Blair, Islington scandal was going on, and he was actually an MP.
I think it's because he didn't have as much power,
Okay.
even though the situation was in as the power he had at the time, it wasn't enough. As far as I'm aware, he was aware, which is common knowledge, But as far as I'm aware, he took it that bit further. That's far as I'm aware, you know. I know where's the proof, Brian? Where's the proof?
Well, tell me if you can. We've got about 20 minutes, and I know I've heard you on shows for 2 hours, and you're brilliant at just putting the whole thing across. But tell the viewers, first of all, a little bit about your background.
I don't so much want to go. I mean, it's not about me anymore. I mean, I've had my time, you know, and there's time for the next generations, and as well as survivors now, you know. But I was abused in care. I was taken into care. I was hit by a fire engine, 6-year-old. Developed behavioural problems, you know, the usual single parent. Mum thought she was doing the best for us. I ended up in care for 10 years. Put in a cell for a long time. There was a police cell built within the home, as most survivors will understand, in the children's home situation. What else? And then all I witnessed was violence, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, medical abuse. And that was wasn't a period within the 10 years where I was really happy in care, you know. It was big establishments, foster homes, you know what I mean? And then when I left care at 15, I went forward to the police to try and get something done. They took a statement and everything. As usual, turned and said nothing's going to happen, which logically at the time, even at 15, I knew they wouldn't do anything, because even then I knew it was so big within the home itself. But little did I know, as I fought on the campaign, other things started coming into it, and little did I know it was as big as it was, you know. But it takes a long time, and as other campaigners know, it takes a long time for it to come out, and it's finally breaking.
Yeah, it's very hard to make any kind of sense. And then to find out there were others, and then there's a lot of shame, and then particularly for men that were boys, there was a stigma where it was even more shameful to talk about. And you know, it's the more, even all these years later, and I'm only new to the sort of campaign movement because I put my head down to raise my children and keep my sanity and get my kids safely raised, mostly on my own. And so even though I've always been there for survivors, and I did some fostering, and I would always help a youngster in crisis, but I kept my head beneath the parapet pretty much till I'd raised my children. And then I went to the protest outside Parliament in April last year, and it just broke my heart. And I followed Bill Maloney's work, and Mum's
Bill's a good lad.
Yeah, he's a good lad, and Russell Burton and Nicky Summers and the Nottingham crowd.
Nottingham has done a hell of a job.
Yeah, and Jockney Rebel and different people I've interviewed.
Yeah. Every campaigner within the cell has done a brilliant job, you know, because it all helps.
I know. So tell us when you first got involved you left care at 15, you went to the police, you got no.
Yeah, and then I spent that was around, I left care 84, 85, went to police 85, so that would be 2 weeks after. So, 85 I went to the police, said they couldn't do nothing, so I thought, right, I'm going to go to this. It was 5 years to get everybody together from that one home, and then gradually started building up and building up. So much so that the council and the police couldn't do nothing else. Led to an NSPCC investigation. What was it? 64 calls within 24 hours or something. Then operation, and then arrest of a number of social workers. Only 3 other convictions. There was a Newcastle area, Sunderland area. I think it involved Carlisle as well. Numerous children's homes. But the Sunderland side, I mean, I know everybody says their cases are the worst than others, but it's not every case is individual. Yeah, but we're Witherwack with Witherwack rather than Emsworth, the other home I was in. I was raped in Emsworth, but with Witherwack, I suppose with the rape in Emsworth, I suppose I haven't accepted it, but it's there. Yeah, I've sort of learned how to deal with that. But with the Witherwack side of things, was more like the psychological abuse. I was getting older, you know. I was realising what was going on, so I was giving the staff there as much stick as they were giving me, you know. So I never gave in, you know. But at the same time, I knew it was wrong, you know. So anyway, I got the survivors together. We went to the local the local press. We got the bottom of the Summit Echo for nearly 2 years. Numerous investigations into Witherwack. Yeah. And it developed from there. And gradually, as I've gone along, I've made a few mistakes like anybody else as a campaigner, you know. And gradually, as I've gone along, nothing what's coming out now surprises us, and it'll get even deeper. It'll get even deeper.
Yeah.
I know. And that's what people have often asked is, does satanic abuse exist? Yes, it exists. Of course it exists.
Wow.
It's the elite little religion, isn't it? Of course it exists, you know. And like I say, after all this, and then if the truth eventually comes out with the MP, the next thing will be the satanic. That's the logical, you know, especially in with what you do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then after that, the police went ahead with the investigation. It was a 5-year investigation.
Speak a little bit louder or a bit closer to the microphone.
Yeah, it was a 5-year Operation Rose, something like a 5-year investigation. Yeah, we even had a former director of social services from Sunderland come forward, back survivors up in another case. This wasn't my case; it was another case to do with what after I'd left, to do with child abuse and the situation where a staff member heated a tray up and put it on the back of a 6-year-old, you know, and stuff like that, you know. And like I say, when we went to court, when the case went to court, especially with me and some of the others, the main cases, they turned around and used abusive process, too much publicity. Yeah, too much publicity surrounding the case meant that the staff members would not get a fair trial, even though there was enough evidence there.
That's disgusting.
I was told that there was enough evidence there, and I got told off the newspaper, not me solicitor, you know, or anything like that. I got told off the press that the case had collapsed because of abusive process. Now, at the same time, if I had not gone, I mean, I feel guilty about it, but if I had not gone to the papers, none of this in the Sunderland, especially within the Sunderland children's homes, would have come out.
You can't blame yourself because they just got off on a technicality. Because I've found that when people report and then they're told don't discuss the case while it's being investigated, it's just a way of silencing. Because like you said, it took 5 years to investigate, and you built up
it's all there on the net, people, you know, it's all there. Yeah, and like I said, there was a lot of very powerful masonry involved as well, Freemasonry, you know.
Right. No. And were you aware of that as a child, or did you discover that after you'd left?
After I'd left. Right. I wasn't aware of anything to do with the same as when I was a child or anything like that, you know.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you survived, and I'm amazed that you went within 2 weeks, went to the police to report.
I did. I mean, it's there in writing, you know.
Yep.
You know, but we said that they couldn't
Wasn't it
do
you
it.
that
Pardon?
was you at a different time, and they said technicality that collapsed it was they should have completed the inquiry in 2 years, and they took 3.
Yeah, because good point. Because at the time on inquiries, they had a certain time to complete the inquiry, didn't they? If they didn't complete the inquiry, so they had to extend it.
And that was another ground
it
collapsing the case.
Well.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So did you ever get any?
I'll give Northumbria place the due. Officers that I dealt with were absolutely brilliant. And I'll say the officer's name was Mike Stafford, a hell of a copper, brilliant police officer. You know, and a lot of the officers what worked on those were very, very disappointed.
Somebody higher up than them.
Yeah, the same chief officer what went on to investigate Jersey.
Right. So did you ever get any apology, any acknowledgement, any justice at all?
Yeah, not justice. I don't know if you would call it an acknowledgement, an out-of-court settlement. And I know people are saying, well, why did you take the out-of-court settlement, Brian? I'll tell you why. It was simple, because it was the only way that it was shown to the public that what I was saying was true. Because the idea that the council would come up to you and offer you that amount of money for no reason at all, is there?
No, it's the same as Holly Gregg was given money, and yet it was all called a hoax, and yet she was compensated. And what gives you the strength to keep helping others? Because you've been since 1985.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's when I first started. I wasn't into it like out my foot, like every day to begin with. But then when I started getting involved with the Sun and everyone stuff, that's when I started getting right into it, and that, you know. And obviously there was the Sydney Coog aspect when Sydney Coog was released outside the Wandsworth. I was at the protest there. And then gradually when you hear from the families, you know, when you get close to them, you hear what they're doing, you have a sense of duty, not only as a person, you have a sense of duty to the children, you know.
Yeah. Well, fair play to you. I know you're not going to be able to make it on the 17th because you're having surgery, isn't it right?
Yeah, me knee.
Can you talk to the viewers a little bit about what you've learned about unity and when survivors start fighting, infighting?
Yeah, that was me a long time ago, you know, and I know this is going to sound odd, but unfortunately, it's part of the process. I know that sounds odd, but unfortunately it is, you know. But even then, even then, I know we're getting stronger and stronger, you know. I mean, I'm not going to openly have a go at one group and then not have a go at the another group. I'm not here to have a go, yeah. But all I would like, yeah, and I hold my hand up, yeah. All I would like is like people to come together. I know it's hard, you know. And it's just sort of like when you say it, you know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I am, you know, but it's just when you say it, it just like knocks you back a bit, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's about us being perfect. And I don't think any of us going to be. I'm getting feedback. This is a bit weird. I'm getting feedback from my microphone.
Yeah, I'm getting interference as well on this side.
Okay, all right. I'm not sure what we'll do. Well, we've still got a while to go. I'll see if I can resolve this. Are you there, Biggie? I'm getting an echo on my audio. Is there anything I can do about that?
Yeah, it's because your speakers are playing into your microphone.
Because I'm what?
Your speakers.
Okay, people, sorry for a kind of unexpected early second break. Brian had some issues with the headphones and we didn't manage to resolve them on this occasion, but thanks, Brian, for what you did share. And as I say, Brian Clare, he's on Facebook. He's been campaigning since 1985. Can you imagine a kid coming out of 10 years care and 2 weeks later going to the police, and within a very short time setting up a support group and working pretty faithfully since to try and get justice for victims of child abuse, particularly in children's homes in the UK, which was a huge issue. So we'll move on to the final section of the show. As I anticipated, I haven't had any response to the invitation to any critics or, as they say, researchers or even my friends to join us on the show to openly address concerns and issues and dramas that were being thrown around on the internet. Every time there's a breakthrough in research, there's an absolute backlash. And so this is just more of that. For those that aren't aware, there were some fairly major disclosures and breakthrough information on the Hampstead case and larger than that last week. And there's been a severe backlash. So the first thing I offered to do was to have any representative of that group of people join me on the show. And similar to when Mel extended an invitation, nobody's joined us. So the next best thing I can do, although it grieves me to waste time on this stuff, but you know, in the interest of transparency, I agreed to, you know, just read the dreaded threads, because I reach a level of where I just don't have tolerance anymore for the abuse. It's like my first guest said, to be abused is bad enough, but then to be betrayed, you know, or discredited or smeared or bullied is like rubbing salt in a wound. So I've learned to manage my survival and my journey to being an overcomer by just walking away when it's too toxic and when it's just vicious. I just shut down, and I make no apology for that. But have we still got Rupert, or have we lost Rupert?
Nope, I'm still here.
Hey, Rupert.
Hello, ma'am.
My co-accused. How are you? Would you like to say a few words?
One sec. I got technical problems. Okay, here we go. I have technical problems with my microphone thanks to, I don't want to get into this right now, but there was one point when our internet was having trouble and I was doing an interview with Kevin Galilei in Rome, and I look over and this dude has my microphone in his hand and he's got the back end of where the plug goes in and he's going like the problem is my mic. But the problem was actually the internet. And I was like, I grabbed it from him and I was like, get your hands off that. So basically Kevin broke my mic. And he's going to be like, no, I didn't break your mic. I've had the mic for years. All of a sudden it stops working. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we can hear you real good.
All right, good. And I've actually, Zoom is awesome. And, all right, well, thanks for having me on the show. And also thank Biggie for running the show. It's always nice. I hate doing these things when the person who's doing the talking doesn't have help. So it's good to have help. Yeah, I've had a whole new, it takes them a couple of days to come up with fake email accounts and all this stuff. I don't know why. If you are so right in what you're saying, then you wouldn't need to use a pseudonym. So if what you're like, I'm Rupert Wilson Quaintance IV. Nice to meet you. That's my real name. You people even probably know where I'm at if you want to know. Like, first of all, I've made no declarative statements about this ever. I've only speculated. And I'm here to assist anybody who asks for my help, and I'm also here to gather information. And unfortunately, part of that is I have to participate in the household operations, which means it's basically I've got a type of rent to pay. And as you can see, it's already starting to happen. Donations have slowed down, so I've stopped eating. So all my weight is coming off. So I go into these like I'm not trying to be a little bitch here, but I am a survivalist. Like I can not eat for a real, like I tried this before I came over here. Like I did some survival tactics. I didn't eat for 3 days, and then I went to see how far I could run with no water, and I made it 2 miles before I almost passed out. And I didn't know if I had to get back on the trolley to get back home, but I know how far I can go before I pass out or die. And then, running on Lanzarote and stuff. It's like I've done basically survival. I've learned what survival training is and taught myself how to do it. So it's like, even if you tried to torture me or starve me out, like I've already been there, done that. So I'm not really scared of much of anything. But when I've got donations steadily trickling in 5, 10, 20 here, I get the occasional person who wants to roll with it and really wants to believe in me. I'm recording right now. Anyway, if that's nice to happen, but I just stopped eating. There's a lady that lives in this house, and earlier she was like, "You haven't eaten today, have you?" And then I was just like, "Yeah, sometimes I forget to eat." And she was like, "Don't do that." Gets her like maternal instinct all flared up. So it's not like a hunger strike, but basically when I feel uncomfortable about what's going on, I just kind of go into survival mode and I just stop eating. Like it's just the way it is. So it's not like a tantrum. It's just a matter, like I said, it's a matter of survival. So ladies and gentlemen, basically donations feed me. Like I said, I've been wearing the same 4 t-shirts for 4 months. Yeah, I'm really living it up over here. I've been wearing the same 2 pair of jeans all summer. I don't know what you're thinking. There was a leather jacket that would have been $500. It was on sale for $100 in Amsterdam. I had to pull my stuff out of that shop. Now, it's a steal for some. It fit me perfectly. It looked cool, but I just left it because it's not my money to do that with. Same thing with I wanted to buy a light brown leather handbag when I was in Venice. I was there taking shots. I was there as someone's cameraman. I was there for 2 days, and I was locked down the entire time. Like, I didn't really have a minute. So it's like everybody's getting on me about this being a vacation. I funded this and that. It's like, you should be proud of me for lasting out here this long. You know what I mean? And, and thanks to all the people who helped. But I just don't understand. Like, debate me. Like, if you have a problem with me, come Skype with me. We'll do if there's really a problem, show your face. You're a Satanist. You're either too fat, ugly, or you're lying. That's it. You're fat, ugly, or lying, or all 3. So okay. I don't have that. I don't have any of those problems. So, yeah.
I want to put this to bed, this whole furore that we've been exposed to, pretty viciously, in my opinion, for the last week. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to power through.
Oh, God.
One of the threads. And if you want to jump in and address anything along the way, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. It's tedious, folks, and I apologize to those that tune in because they're genuinely concerned about ending child abuse. I'm really embarrassed about the way supposed peer research...
Oh, just get to it, would you?
Oh, you're so rude. Oh, fuck you. Okay, right. Here we go. So Jim McManam and Angela Power Disney, I just noticed on this link on your page, it's had 30 shares, not 1 like, and I find that hard to understand when you've just disclosed that Ella is part of the cult and footage exists of her masturbating a child, and you told me on another post that you believe this footage exists 100%. I do, and it's not in my possession, so don't try and get me on possession of child pornography, but there is a meeting being organized. It was going to be, I'm not going to go into details, just...
Well, she should totally get an Oscar for this. That sounds like quite a performance.
Okay. No, I don't find it funny. I still feel sick. And then he says, you said that Ella and Tricky made child porn movies and also a snuff movie, well, more than one, and it was a lucrative business, but Tricky ripped Ella off for $240,000. And Ella getting the children to disclose was part of a revenge attack against Tricky and Abe. Abe was just caught in the crossfire. I want to make this clear, people. I'm not disbelieving the children's testimony. I'm just saying that the mother is apparently complicit. So I am not invalidating the children's testimony at all.
Well, that begs the question, why would she be standing there during the filming, like the initial filmings of the disclosures? Like, what would she stand to gain from that? Getting out of that, or like throwing shade on somebody other than herself?
That's for an investigation to get to the bottom of. We can only speculate on what she had to gain. From what I was told, she was double-crossed and she was angry and she wanted out of the country and out of the cult. And the kids were the collateral damage, sadly.
So, yeah,
on?
Angie's basically summing up just a thread that was on my page. But some of these new trolls, they have a different tactic. They're coming at, it's still just as disbelievable, but are we like Biggie just posted something in the chat, and since you don't have your glasses on, I'll read it to you. It says there's a question in the chat from Tory Smith DNA, and it says have you told the police about the video? And then the second question was, you said Dearman and Ella were involved in crocodile, and nobody takes it in the UK. That's a comment from Tory Smith. We can talk about that if you want, because I think I know a lot about this. I feel like I do.
Can I just do a caveat that Tory Smith is actually dead? So that's interesting.
I don't know who that is. I don't really, like, you guys know a lot of names.
Yeah,
of people
go ahead and address the crocodile thing.
Well, I don't know where you picked up on this. Like, I mean, that just sounds like a joke to me, because basically, as far as I understand it, crocodile or crocodile, which makes it sound like some kind of pickle, it's something that basically Russian gangs were using to stretch out the opiates that they had. It is strong opiates, but mixed with like antifreeze or something in that realm, something that'll kill you. And it gets you high really fast and for a while, and it can be produced cheaply. So people who were already addicted to opiates were using it because, you know, it's $25 instead of $50 or whatever it is, because they're hitting that middle ground market that don't have money for a bag of heroin or whatever.
Okay.
And the reason they call it crocodile is because the way it interacts with your body is, just thinking about it gives me like that trypophobia, skin, the heebie-jeebies. Like it does turn your skin scaly and busts it open and swells it up, and it looks like the kind of damage that if you did recover from it without having to have an amputation, it would probably have scarring that would be very visible for the rest of your life. It's no joke. So
Okay.
the thing about the UK is nobody in the UK is taking that, because people in a country like this, for the most part, if they're taking drugs, they or somebody that they know have enough money to procure actual drugs. I don't think it's been over. If they brought it over here, it was because they didn't know what it was, but I can't even believe that is a dead issue. I think they squashed that. I don't think people are even producing it anymore, because it hasn't come up in the news in about 2 years.
Yeah,
So the fact that it got brought up in this investigation baffles me, because crocodile and UK don't go together.
Okay.
And I'm not putting that on you. You're probably just reporting something that you heard.
Well, I was told that as part of the disclosure, and I'm not an expert on drugs by any means. I've spoken to Jake about it, and actually he was he openly talks about having been in the festival scene and the rave scene and so on, and familiar with a lot of drugs. And when I said it to Jake a few days ago, straight away he said, "Oh yeah, it flooded England in around 2012-13, and a lot of people were really ill from it."
I don't think it was. I think they probably had something else like they got in the U.S. where I heard somebody say that they felt like, since the drug war is basically collapsing around itself, the bottom rung that holds everything up, the bottom pillar, is the whole marijuana thing. That's how they got the drug war started in the first place, by scaring white women and white men that their women were going to have sex with Mexicans, and they picked a name that even the Mexicans don't use, marijuana, because it looks and sounds like a scary word that people who speak English don't use Spanish words by and large as much as they do, say, French or German or, of course, Latin-based words. that it makes sense.
That's why I was interested last week when the Russian guy, Andrei, said that it's also the name of an area beside Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and so on, where production of opiates is massive. So it's kind of detailed to go down. Is it crocodile? How long did it go on?
No, it got its name because of the way it makes your skin look. I mean, that's their word for crocodile. I mean, it's basically saying crocodile turns you into a lizard. But isn't that funny? Wouldn't it be funny for the elite to put out a drug that turns you into one of them? The other thing that I wanted to say was there has been an uptick in the overdose / hair. Like the cops in my hometown have to carry around, that antidote pen on them because they're getting to these scenes before the EMTs are, and these people are ODing, and they're getting there faster and having to jab these people, and it's happening over and over. It's because production's up, prices are up, but the American public doesn't have as much money as some of the richer countries. So what they do is they start to mix it with stuff. And I think they're starting to mix it with stuff to kill people because people are dropping dead out there. And it's these are the way this ties back into what we're talking about is by and large, a lot of these people, like you see a junkie, I see somebody who got touched by their uncle or something, like you can see that. These are people who have a real, heartache registers as actual pain on, a brain scan. If you take a Tylenol, it actually does help a heartache because it does register in your brain as an actual pain. It's not just in your head. So when you're dealing with the victims of this stuff, I hate to say it, but heroin is a perfect temporary solution for everything they've got going wrong. You can sleep. You can get an appetite if you're addicted. You can get yourself a nice appetite worked up. You can, you can experience a chemical hug, a sedation that no person could ever make you feel like that. And that's the danger of it is the attraction to it is that warm, fuzzy feeling that it does give you. And people aren't addicted to heroin for no reason. It's not for no reason.
Yeah, I hear you. And then also when I was briefly in the music scene in London in the late 70s and early 80s, and I knew a lot of very peaceful musicians that smoked weed, the ganja, before a rehearsal or just to jam or whatever. And it was all very peaceful and lovely. And then I'd go back to London. I used to go back every few years. And then they said, there's been some serious interference with skunk. And they were theorizing that maybe it was not in the powers that be interest to have all these mellowed out, deprogramming, chilled, pot smoking people. So they started putting Prozac and all sorts of shit pharmaceuticals into the supply of skunk. So I don't know. We could hypothesize all. I'm not an expert on drugs. It's very clear, but I think that's. The bottom line is Max Spears was saying that it was hugely pornography, including snuff movies. This latest intel has said it's a drug cartel. I don't know. I just care about the children. So I'll keep reading.
Me too. That's why I tell jokes about it. So do you think they have an Oscars for snuff movies? And the best snuff movie of the year this year is, drumroll please. I mean, you gotta make fun of it because if this is the kind of thing that they want to videotape, then why can't I snap back at them at what idiots they are?
I hear you, and I want to just say I read one of these threads when I had friends that were tagging my name in it. It took me an hour and a half. I don't have an hour and a half to go through pontifications about, who am I, who are you, what credentials, what's going on, are we the enemy? It bores me, but let me plow on a little bit, at least to pay lip service. Okay, so it says, blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't be the first time I've called it wrong, but it looks to me like most of us civilians smell a rat, and it's coming from somewhere close to you. They're bitching at you. And just like a little too close to distinguish if it's only coming from Rupert or both Rupert and you. So they're getting very personal and nasty here. Now I say that.
Wait, what? Rupert and me?
Rupert, they're saying they're not believing the intelligence that I disclosed. They smell a rat. They're calling you the rat, and then they're saying maybe I'm the rat too. So it's
Like, I got what I have so far is narratives that I have picked up along the way. They've been picked up in a journalistic sense. They're waiting to be put down in some cohesive fashion. Honestly, I only ask for money to feed myself. What I really need is a team of people to help me put this crap together. Like, I should be working with other people who write. I should be working in a team of people who can help edit or help me get shots set up, get me access to things. Like, hey, come on out there. It's like gotta be there gotta be somebody out there that knows what they're doing. Come on.
Yeah.
Pop it up. There's one of you with like 15 G's sitting there you ain't doing nothing with. You got your spoiled kid taking your money every week. Oh, we got all kinds of...
I'm going to plow on. So now I say that very confidently because regardless of what you say is true about Ella...
Everybody else hear that? You hear that too, Biggie?
Sorry?
I was asking Biggie if he can hear that too.
Oh, okay. So regardless of what you say is true about Ella, it doesn't detract from the fact that Rupert the bear grew up to be Rupert the snake and he's totally hypnotized you. At least, even if this footage does exist and it's coming out anyway, same as Bill Maloney calling out John Hemming, before he's eventually named anyway, this is exactly the kind of information that gatekeepers and shills are given to remain half plausible. So this is where people are just making up. They just need to go and join a creative writing class. Obviously, I didn't want to put this on my page or cheekily carry on Jake Clark's page. At the end of the day, you could easily remove all of it. Lots of love, Jake. And I couldn't put it on your page as Sophia Green wouldn't be able to pass comment or put up screenshots. I invited Sophia Green to Friend Connect. She hasn't done that. Now, you've called her out as a troll, but it's very easy for people to make up their own mind. All they have to do is read her posts and you'll see as clearly as me, Helen, Stephanie, Jockney, Chris Costa, or Kevin, and all will tell that her posts are reasonable and measured. Now, if they don't know, the paid Tavistock-trained trolls know very well how to be reasonable and measured. They need to do some more research on trolls, seriously. So somehow you, Rupert's man, and Aaron Dover think, although I think Aaron may be seeing it a little more clearly now, who knows, but none else have called her a shill, but who knows, they may feel more free to do so on here. Anyway, back to the video. I found it a little childish for Rupert to be sitting doing silly hand gestures. Mind you, he seemed to have you under a spell. Or possibly just blind infatuation, but undoubtedly mesmerised. He refused to answer any questions about his hometown and the finders. Well, that's bollocks. You addressed that last week.
What are you talking about? I gave a whole disclosure on everything, and then somebody put out a video about my calling out my family.
I know, but you know what they did? You know when you said that your youth group used to volunteer and help and deliver things to shut-ins, they are saying that you were delivering stuff to the finders.
I didn't have a license, and I lived out in the middle of the woods. Like, I wasn't allowed to go in town by myself. Like, I couldn't get to town by myself, for one. They were downtown in a theater. The only time we would drive by, maybe on the way to eat. That's on the other side of town. Like, we wouldn't even have to go over there. Like,
so when your youth group was ministering to shut-ins, you're referring to little old ladies that can't go shopping, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing they made up there then, right? It was a real dodge to avoid any of the questions Sophie put to him. Anyway, I could watch again, but downright refused to do so. If he did say this, which he didn't, again, it's part of the blag. Pretending to be open about what you know will be revealed anyway. They only ever tell the truth if it's the best blag, and luckily for them, most times it is. I also find it of interest that his mam said, and him, I think, that he'd never heard of the finders, and it was before he was born or would remember, but now he says he knew. Your mum said on a comment thread that you were very young and probably weren't even aware of the finders. Okay, moving swiftly along. I've said many times on many posts, if you're not prepared to be scrutinised by reasonable people asking pointed questions, you're in the wrong place and alarm bells will ring everywhere you go, Rupert. And I now think that you, Angela, are just this is really fucking rude, Jim. I think that you, Angela, are just a burned out MK warrior put out to grass. Well, that's just rude. And then we'll carry on.
Who, me or you?
No, me. He's calling me a burned out warrior put out to grass. Well, personal remarks are very rude, Jim. I forgive you. Then he says, mind you, Saskia Whitfield liked it on here, but that may have been a preemptive like. This is just bollocks, just wanking. This is just researcher wanking online. I'm sorry to be vulgar. So then Jim says again, a lot of people have deleted their comments up, by the way, because I said I was going to read it online. A lot of people have taken their comments off. Not so brave on a live broadcast. So Jim says, last point before Z. Obviously, it was a busy show. Expecting at the end with Rupert, avoiding any pointed questions, matched with your resolve not to ask them. If you know me, I ask any questions. I don't care what I ask. So sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but this is why I don't read threads like this. It was
All right,
interesting.
enough of that. Like, what? Let's just. All right, enough of that. Like, who cares?
Well, no, let's just
full of
look at
it.
some evidence. It's interesting. Loads of people have taken their comments off here now that I said I was going to read it online.
You talking about on my page?
No, this is on Jim McManaman's page.
Oh.
Something like 80% of the comments are by this Sophia Green, who only created her Facebook page 4 days before this blew up. And people are so dumb, they don't get it, that a 4-day-old Facebook profile with somebody coming and taking over the narrative and expertly engineering it, they don't get it that's engineered. Oh, she keeps saying step down. No, it is tedious. It's boring. Now, let me see. Very legit questions regarding Culpepper and your family. You know, what the fuck? Tell me all about you and your family, Sophia Green. Tell me why you're not on here with your real face and your real name, Sophia Green. So, you know, I'm just trying to see if there's anything worthy of... I don't want to just dismiss it out of hand, Rupert. I want to, like, if there's any worthy questions to ask. But if people can't...
I don't know. I like to give the trolls something to screenshot, so I just keep... Maybe I'll give them some, like, Illuminati sign. Here you go. There's some Illuminati stuff. Here you go, like this.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you can have that, and I'll do like this. Be like, yeah.
So it says, if this new information... Oh, stop it, you. Look, I'll use my Illuminati lighter. No, we mustn't be naughty, right. So anyway, final summary, and one with a perspective of psychology included. Ooh. If this new information be true, would it not be the main topic of information throughout the show? As it is pretty big news if true. Yet the conversation constantly comes back from both you and Rupert, how you are being attacked by me and others. Again, you speak about your financial positions, have sidestepped many questions. Kind of looks like to me you are in damage control. New info taking the spotlight off your unveiling, then not much focus on it. I call bullshit. If only someone could interview you with all this information at hand and have you answer Angela and Rupert truthfully. Well, Rupert's already said he's willing to be interviewed by anybody, although we might die of boredom. Are you still up for that, Rupert?
Look, if any of these cheap, shot, non-knowing anything mofos want to have me on any kind of a discussion panel, bring it on. Like, anybody can say what they like about me, but somebody posted a Cat Williams video earlier, and I just totally forgot that if you're taking flack from people like this, it's because you're legit. Like, if I wasn't somewhat legit, I obviously seem somewhat legit because you're spending your entire day on me. You know what I spend my day on? Whatever I feel like. And most of the time I just feel like reading about this bullcrap.
The sad thing is, I don't care about the trolls, but the sad thing is I care about the innocents that get convinced by them, like Stephanie, Jockney, you know, people I considered friends getting taken in, getting hoodwinked, getting completely seduced with this crap. That hurts. That hurts. I don't mean hurts my feelings. It hurts the cause. So I'll just plow on a little bit with this. And like people like Chris Costa, she's a superb researcher. She runs the Dearman Does Hampstead blog. Oops, I hope that wasn't out of order. I'm pretty sure Hope said no that. She accused me of having given her...
That's why I don't tell you nothing anymore.
No, she accused me of probably having given her address and family details to Hampstead so that she could be terrorized. That's just beneath contempt. That was when I stopped reading. I thought they've lost the plot if they think I would do such a thing. It's despicable. So anyway, if only someone could... So, yeah, Rupert and I are up for an interview, you know, between whatever, but it's just despicable. I could possibly even arrange it through a couple of hosting shows. You bend the narrative to suit your agenda. No, I invited you on a show. Not one of you showed up. And you know, whatever. So then blah, blah, blah. Sophia Green, no real answers, total victim mentality, displaying the traits of a drama queen, trying to mirror everything back. One question, easy to answer, yes or no. Do you think the latest antics from yourself and Rupert are a credit to either Jake or the Hampstead children, or even Nina and Spin for that matter? Pathetic response, sorry. I don't care what people think about me. Sorry. And you cannot maintain misery for a year and a half, which is what I've been working on this show as Chris shows intermittently Sonia Van Gelder, although I understand Sonia and Chris are part of the whipping team, according to Jake. So I'm looking forward to Jake getting free, and that's important. Where are we at for time? Rupert, you know the time? Oh, you're muted. All right, never mind.
6:40.
6:40, okay, we're doing good. This is tedious, right. I also spotted 2 sections on the interview, one with you early on and then another with Rupert somewhere from blah, blah, give or take blah, blah. Before you mentioned Annette, it sounded like me and Kay, then quickly cut out and put a cigarette in your mouth. I've got no idea what you're talking about. You're just doing conspiracy theory shit there. And continued on a different angle. I have ADHD. You ask Rupert, my mind jumps all over the place. Nothing got to do with avoiding something. Then Rupert, somewhere where he was speaking about his life in Culpeper, started saying something, then cut off, started coughing, which he didn't do for the rest of the show. This is insane. Then continued on.
So what? I probably smoked weed on the show. Who cares? Like, I'll smoke weed. I will smoke weed at your grandma's house. I will sit at your grandma's house under the Christmas tree.
But they're making it mean shit. They're making it mean. It's just, you know.
I don't care what they...
Right.
See, but don't you understand? Are we going to spend the rest of the time doing this? Because you can...
No, I'm bored already.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like, I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go.
All right, so look at... Right. No, we extended...
How about a podcast where you just read these things out? Maybe we should do that.
It takes all my energy. And
it's just so stupid. Like, I don't read half of what they say unless people start answering them and stuff. Like, I just block them, because sometimes somebody who disagrees with you can send you in a new direction and you go, oh, I didn't really think of that before. But the things that people are trying to make me realize, like, what am I supposed to do? Sit there and go, oh, they're right. I am a charity scammer. And they'll isolate that and make that sound like I really meant that. But, like, I don't know if you have information, write it down. Put it in a PDF. It's rwacquaintance@gmail.com. Like, if you have documents, send them over. That's all it is. I'm just collecting all the pieces now, and I'll protest or whatever. Somebody wants me to make a video, I'll make you a video. If you need coverage on something, I have channels that you can be broadcast on. You know, I'm open and available for content to be splayed out, but I can't make people disclose. I can't make people tell me on camera what I want them to. I've gotten no's more than I've gotten yeses, and that's just been the thing. And now the show is apparently starring your forehead and cowlick. How are you? How you doing there?
it's because of my eyesight. I was reading the chat,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can't multitask like that. But you know what I'd like to do? We've got about 12 minutes left. There was another campaigner arrested by Brent police. And if you can just hold the show for 2 minutes, I want to get a phone and call him and get the story of him live. That's much more interesting.
All right, but I'm $500 a minute.
Put it on the tab.
Put it on the tab. Okay, so I guess I'm supposed to hold this down for a second. That's a lot of power to give somebody. I could really screw this thing up right now. I could just go off on some tangent that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. Basically, what we're looking at here is a summer that has been filled with drama. A police force that does what they're told, which I guess they're kind of supposed to do. And then you got people... Am I the only one? I'm sorry. Am I the only one that on Angie's screen you can see like a black squiggly thing on the wall? I don't know what that is, but it's distracting the hell out of me. That does not look right at all. It's like something that is not cool. That it looks like some kind of demonic interference coming through the camera. I have no idea what that is. All right. So I hope that somebody else can see that too, because I have no idea. Ladies and gentlemen, what you can do to help if you don't have the facilities to donate. Facilities? Faculties? Something. It's getting late in the day, folks. You can educate yourself about some of this stuff. Poke around on the internet and follow it down some crazy rabbit hole. And see where it takes you. And make your mind up for yourself to see what it is that you think about what is going on over here. It's up to you to decide. Now, everybody picks a topic. If you want to be an activist, you pick a topic. You could be a women's rights activist or a 9/11 activist, or there's a dozen of them that are popular these days. You can get out there and meet people and almost have an entire social life based around it, and that's actually not a bad thing. People make fun of that. Not a bad thing to get associated with, I don't think. Being an active person in something you believe in, even if it's something stupid, at least you're not at home on your couch. So, like I said, just pick something. Pick a thing. I say if you want to pick this thing, this is something it's not war, but it is sort of a psychological war. There are victims. There is carnage. There are people who don't recover from their injuries. And then they end up inflicting actual physical injury on themselves and sometimes just dying in a puddle in an alley somewhere. So this is not in the moment, wow, that guy's shooting his gun kind of war. This is oh my God, slow motion train wreck kind of war. So it's only for people who can handle that sort of minutia and that slow motion train wreck that I talk about all the time. It's just England's so weird. It's so beautiful, and all its little villages that all connect together and all little roundabouts that send you in 40 different directions. It's so cool. It's neat. It's like a maze of awesome English wonderland of some sort. I love it. But at the same time, there is this sort of thing going on, and it's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt to be here and have a sense for it. Some people here are even unaware that it's an issue. But the only thing that we can do is pick up the pieces, label them, basically do the police's job for them in the event that someone who's taking legal action can step forward, and there are people who do that. Just speak your piece, pick up the pieces, and hope that somebody who knows what they're doing can make sense of it, because, well, basically with the way the English system works, it is a complicated set of kind of a pyramid system of power, and it is modular. It's kind of like that pyramid in that Predator Alien movie that moves, it shifts. It starts like a Rubik's Cube. It's like that. Like anytime the power starts to not work in one area, all they got to do is move it over to another. It's not really something that's easy to go up against. And you ought to hear some of the people talk. I'm sure that some of you have heard the people that talk about some of this stuff. They almost speak another language because they've been run through the ringer. So I don't I don't really know what else to say. Help me stay afloat and in whatever. That is so weird, man. There is this there's like this black line of interference. It was stuck to the wall when you left, and now it's clinging to the outside of your head.
Wow.
I'm not even, if anybody else has seen that, they could back that up. Oh, and now it's put a little Hitler mustache on you. I'm serious. There's like a little black line under your nose.
No, this has happened before when I was
it's like it's got like a,
when I was making YouTube videos before, maybe after Hampstead broke, they used to paint a black eye on me on my YouTube channel. And I thought, like, they used to paint black eyes and have real fun doing stupid things. And then if I switched over to my second YouTube channel, it was perfect. So, so it's just stupid, carry on. But look, this is if we have time, this is a second person that was picked up by Brent police. And I also, there's a lot of evidence of police intimidation and harassment of anybody that's spilling on Hampstead. So I feel very bad for not phoning him before now.
Well, I got a threat. Remember that guy who used to be Kevin Gallilee's videographer? This dude, when I first got to Rome, he saw that I was there. And after the first 24 hours, I got an inbox.
Hold on.
Wait, so we're going to stop the whole show so we can hear one half of a conversation.
No, I'm going to put it on loudspeaker.
Oh, go ahead.
Now I just cut him off because you made me nervous.
I didn't do anything. Oh, yeah, I'm in control of that.
Okay, hold on. Just a minute. Let me get loudspeaker. This isn't my phone. John, I'm trying to find loudspeaker. Good, and you're going to go live with me on I'm doing my show. You're going to go live, aren't you? It's Angela.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just take over for a second. What she should have done is just picked the phone up and walked away. But that's doing podcasts and radio, folks. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to call and who's going to end up on the air. It's one of the cool things about doing. Like, do you realize what we're doing? Like, this in the 1970s this is basically what that was. This is just in and then out. No bells or whistles. Just an open feed straight through. It's amazing. We're doing this from our bedrooms now. So.
Okay, Rupert.
Yeah. What'd you get? Did you get the scoop?
I got John on the phone, who was arrested by Brent police to do with Hampstead. So go ahead and talk, John. Which police? Barnet police. Sorry, I said Brent.
Well, it goes a bit deeper. It's a long story.
Go ahead.
Okay. Angela gives me power. I am your biggest fan, and I love you, and I will die for you.
Thank you.
Now, what do you believe that or not just matter? Well, anyway, you're falling into my home now. I'm John Dewan,
right.
And I'm from a place, a little village called Kerrie, which I have a home over there. And I left 25 years ago. Married a lovely lady 25 years ago called Rupert and Joe. We got 3 children. And the oldest one is 16, 13, 12. Anyway, so what I've done, what I've tried to do with my life is honest. And I've given up everything to, everything. Because once you realize and you find out what's going on, and about people that are so-called people that are supposed to serve a potential, and then you find them out, what I'm doing now is I don't work because I will not give taxes to anybody because it goes to a particular place called the road. We won't talk about it. So let's talk about I have to come into your life for a reason, and I believe that I had a reason to come into your life. Now I'm an expert in all laws. I'm what you call a natural didact. That means I'm self-trained in all laws. In order to be a constitutional know Patrick Cullinan very well, what he does. Now, what I think about Patrick, that's a different story. But I'm still part of that situation, part of that umbrella, if you like. So I went my own way. So what I've realized is that we live in a very corrupt society.
Yes.
Now, how did I come into your life? Well, Miles Johnson, different people and all that. But now, this is very important I say this. What Miles Johnson does and other people around the world do, that's down to them. But one thing I do know is that I hate money because it's a control mechanism, and so is other entities. And I just take enough to feed my family. I've got 3 young kids. Well, when I say that, whatever. I just take enough. And I take on everybody, really. I'm a bastard. And I want to apologize for this. Have I got a drink problem? Yeah. I'm fucking quite proud of that. Because I don't want to live in your world. That's fine. Whatever. No problem. Now, how do I come across you? I come across you for a reason. I really believe that. And this is the reason. Because you know what? In the end, you know where you come from. You know where you're going. Once you know where you come from, where you're going, and you kind of, let's say, you find out what it's all about. We never die. Nobody does. Nobody does. So, whenever I come across you on today, I come across you for a reason. Because I see you have.
John, I'm going to have you on again on Wednesday, but I need you to just tell the people about being arrested by Barnett Police.
Okay, yeah.
Give me the bottom line now, and I'll have you on the show on Wednesday. We'll talk longer.
Yeah, as an Irishman, I can't go on.
No, I know, we're storytellers,
Okay,
I know.
I'll stick to the point, Angela.
Right.
I'll stick to the point. Okay. It's important that I care, proclaim, and whatever you want to call it, that I'm self-trained in all law. Now, I will get to the point very quickly. I know what you're saying.
You've got about 3 minutes. It's just unfortunate.
Okay. Anyway, they came to my door, knock, 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 and bang, bang, bang. So what I did was, I kind of taped them as I do, as we all do, and said, hello, how you doing? How's crack? We were witnesses while I was younger. And they said, we're here to arrest John Doohan. I said, well, who's he? And all that kind of thing. Well, anyway, make a long story short, they took me to Condon Station, and they were quite nice. I think they kind of got it, so I'm good what I do. But anyway, so they brought me and arrested me, put me in the cell, kidnapped me, and whatever else and all that is to do with you. And they're trying to shut me up because you know who I am, and I will never be shut up. Because I know how to fuck up and all that shit.
So did they caution you, or did they?
Yeah. They cautioned me, arrested me, put me in the cell, kidnapped me, took my right, all that shit. I wanted to do that. And then they brought me back to my home and apologized.
Wow.
Yeah, but you see, I bought them to death because I'm good what I do, because I told myself, you have no fucking idea what you're involved in, because you're a pawn. You have no fucking idea what you're doing. You have no idea who controls the world. You know an idea.
So John, keep Wednesday free. I've got to go, but you've made my day. They apologized.
No,
there was no charges.
Angela, I'm very simple.
Right.
I don't fuck about it. I will tell you the truth.
John, I'll get you on the phone on Wednesday. I've got to go. There's another show following mine. God bless you. You made my day.
Listen to me. I have always loved you.
All right. Bye.
People have the strangest phone etiquette, don't they?
It doesn't matter.
You could be like, wait, I gotta go. My house is on fire in the bay. No, wait, I gotta tell you about what my grandma did.
That's Irish. We're storytellers. Well, on that note, people, please support Rupert. Please support me. Please support Conscious Consumer Network. and I'm going to be broadcasting again. And John's going to be my first guest on Wednesday because I'm traveling Thursday. So Wednesday, 5 till 7, we'll be chasing rainbows, and I'm going to have John on there. And Rupert, thank you so much for all the flack that you've been taking. And thank you for agreeing to be interviewed somewhere on Mars or Jupiter or wherever those live. And sorry to those who are genuine and genuinely stop it.
Hey, I'm a Satanist.
I rebuke it in Jesus' name. And
All
thank you, Biggie, for
thank you, Biggie.
And thank
round of
you.
applause for Biggie.
I'm sorry we laugh. We have to stay alive. We have to survive. So
I'm not sorry for laughing. I'll laugh in your face.
No, I know. But I appreciate Kerrie for coming on, and I appreciate Brian Clare, I beg your pardon, and John doing. And please, people, don't forget Jake. What's that dog's name?
I'm not telling you because then one of the Satanists will eat him and cook him for a stew.
Okay. Bye, over and out. Talk to you Wednesday, 5 till 7, people. Bye. Bye, doggy.